So many kits to choose from. I wonder which one of these I should build next. Hello there. This will make a fine addition to my collection. Welcome back to Floki's Models. Today we're going to be building Bandai's General Grievous in 1/12 scale. Starting with step 1, building the good general's head. It's made up of 10 different parts starting with A14 and A15 here. The eyes are really cool with yellow and black styrene being merged together on the sprue to create them. They combine with part A19. Even though it's a snap together kit, I'm going to be using glue in a few places just to reinforce the joints, like right here. And here is a close-up look at the eyes. Well, maybe. Hold on a minute. Yeah, let me get hair tweezers here. That'd be better. Alright, now you can see them. Now these things are really cool, and so they came like that on the sprue. The eye assembly then gets shoved into the head. This is a really tight fit here. Just gotta get them lined up and give them a good shove until it clicks. Yeah, they're finally clicked. Again, them eyes look so good. The ear caps are added to the head next. These are parts D14 and D15. This is also a really tight fit. Again, just push them in really hard until they both snap into place. Skipping ahead to step 3, building Grievous's butt plate. It is made from pieces A34 and A37. Again, I'm going to reinforce the connections here with a little bit of glue. And here is one completed butt plate. This is Grievous's hip joint assembly. I am gluing armor parts A5 and 6 to it. Moving on to step 4, assembling the legs. They are mirror images of each other, so I'm only going to show making one. I start by trapping part D234 between D229 and D230. D234 should remain workable. Again, I add glue to the seam to reinforce it. This assembly then gets trapped between parts D243 and D244. Again, in the end, this joint here will remain workable. This assembly in turn gets trapped between parts D240 and D241. A small part, D246, attaches to the side of D241. Part D236 attaches to the rear of the leg assembly, and that's all for the lower leg. And when complete, all 3 of these joints will remain workable. Starting on the upper leg assembly, part D242 fits into the recessed area of part D245. I use a bit of glue here to make sure it stays in place. Part D245 is then attached to part D247. Now take the lower leg assembly and trap it between what we just put together and part D117. It all seems to be bending pretty well. Part D139 is popped into place, then held in with just a little bit of glue. Part D1-16 is the last part to be added to the leg assembly at this time. The entire leg looks pretty good to me. It's all together and moves pretty well. Again, the other leg is just a mirror image of this. Going to start painting the general's insides. First using a mix of Vallejo, Old Rose, and Red. I'm gonna speed the painting process up here a little bit, but here I'm using this pinkish red to paint what I believe is the lungs. And here they are painted up. Using straight Vallejo red, I paint the heart and some other inside parts of Grievous, since I have really no idea what else is in here. I'm taking some of that Vallejo red and watering it down a lot, almost making it into a wash, and then going over the pink of the lungs that I did earlier. The next color I'm going to be using is Vallejo German Camo Bright Green. Again, I'm going to use this color to paint some of these innards. Not really sure what they are. Maybe this is his kidneys. I don't think kidneys are green in people, but Grievous, they might be. Using Vallejo Ivory, I paint the spinal column. I'm going to use Mig Dark Wash and apply it all over the general's innards. This here will really make all the little details pop out. I really like how this turned out. Too bad about 90% of it won't be seen in the end due to all the armor and the fluid sac that goes around it. Now I'm going to do a dry brushing of Vallejo Oily Steel all over all the gunmetal parts of the general. I mix this paint with just a bit of water, dip the brush in it, and remove most of the paint before going over all the raised detail. This is a really good, easy, and fast way to show wear and tear on different parts. And that's finally all the gunmetal parts dry brushed. The faceplate, part A13, is just way too pristine. So I opened up a reference photo and added scratches to it using the scribing tool my wife found me at the Dollar Tree. This Bandai plastic is really soft and takes the scribing extremely well. The neck ring assembly is also scratched up, along with other armor panels. These scratches will catch the wash that I will use later on in the build. This container is Future Floor Polish. I'm not sure what it is currently called. I know they change the name of it all the time. I've had this bottle of it for several years. But I used to use it to dip clear canopies on aircraft kits. I'm using it here on the eye assembly to give it a wet glossy look. This is going to look really good once I get the faceplate on top of it. I'm also going to use this Future Floor Polish to gloss up the general's innards. Again, I wish most of this would be seen in the end. Next, I'm starting on 4 of the fine additions from Grievous' collection. I started by airbrushing them Alcalad 2 aluminum, picking out some areas with brass, and finished them with some detail painting of red and black, then a MIG dark wash goes into all the crevices. I wish I had more of these to paint up. I really had fun doing it. You can definitely tell that Bandai just reused sabers from other kits. One is definitely Obi-Wan's, another one you can really tell is Darth Vader's, and I'm not quite sure who the other ones belong to. Now it's time to finish assembly. First attaching the faceplate A13 to the head. Almost forgot to paint his mouthpiece. Guess I'll do that now. I again pull out the Vallejo oily steel and just touch this to the mouth area. Some wash later on will make the details really pop out. Yeah, now that looks better. He has a mouth now. Back to assembly. Earpieces A16 and 17 are attached to the head. A17 had a small burr I missed while cleaning up the parts and had to clean that up now. Now he's really looking like Grievous. Both parts here are E2-12. They are attached to the General's innards and they will hold his arms in later. The back of the fluid sac, part A23, is attached now, followed by part A22 in the front. You can still see some of that detail painting that we did through the clear grain, but a lot of it's obscured now. Part D1-8 is added to the top of the fluid sac, followed by part D1-21 to the back. Part D1-14 is attached to the front. The tubular piece, D1-10, is then attached. It sits on top of part D1-14. The next part coming up, D1-13, traps D10 into place. Part D19 is added underneath D13. I use a bit of glue on this one to keep it into place. It seemed like it would fall off easily. Side pieces D1-22 and 23 are added. And here's all the structural pieces around the fluid sac. Next up we'll be putting the armor pieces onto it. And it'd be even harder to see all of this. Armor plates A11 and 12 are added on next. And neck piece E2-11 attached to the top. The neck plate is made up of parts A2, A9, A10, and D1-20. Again, I use some glue on places here just to reinforce the connection. Here is the neck plate all put together. The throat assembly is made using parts D1-1, 6, 11, and 12. And here's the completed throat assembly. The neck plate gets attached to the torso first. Then the throat assembly is threaded through the neck plate and attaches to the torso. This by far was the trickiest part of the assembly, since you got about 5 different pieces here that have to line up and attach to the torso. Backplate A-8 is then attached, followed by the general's head. Now it's really beginning to look like General Grievous. The range of motion in his head is also really good. Bit loose for my taste. I might put a little bit of putty or something there later to try to stiffen this up. Next, that the butt plate that we built earlier is being attached to the hip assembly. Knee parts C1-8 and 9 are glued into place. I had kind of a hard time with these. I kept wanting to pop off, so glue is almost necessary to hold them in place on this. Parts are followed by lower leg armor C1-12 and 13. And after these two parts go on, that'll be it for the legs. Now to start on the arms. I'm going with the separated option here, since I want him to be able to hold all 4 lightsabers, and that's going to work really well with the diorama that I'm building for him. Start by attaching armor piece C2-7 to arm piece B8. Then shoulder armor C1-19 is attached, and finally lower arm armor C2-11. Two arm sections are attached together using part B4. Shoulder pauldron C1-23 is then added, completing the arm. Now to put everything together, starting with the legs, attaching them to the hips, followed by the torso. And finally the arms. He's really wobbly and will have to be permanently fixed to the base I'm building for him. Now on to weathering. First, an overall filter using MIG to filter brown. I learned a lesson here. You shouldn't use enamel on Bandai plastic. It weakens the parts, and I've had to fix several due to cracking so far. I wasn't aware of this until after I got it all weathered and was trying to figure out why the plastic was getting so brittle. I went and applied this filter all over the armored parts. Next up, I did a pin wash using MIG Dark Wash. I had the wash into all the little detail parts, making sure to get into all the nooks and crannies. And it really makes all this detail pop. Well, with the wash almost done now, let's go over to the detail shots. I want to thank you all for watching this, and I promise it won't be so long before my next video. I've just had a lot going on here recently. I'm currently working on a base for the good general here and have about a quarter of the way done. And there will be a video on the base, hopefully here in the next week or two. If you enjoyed this build and want to see more, then like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'm more than happy to answer any questions about my building process, or just any modeling questions in general. Again, thank you all, and I'll see you next time.